All right, Kiss Army, welcome to the KissFAQ Podcast. Thank you for giving us your time today and letting us into your head. I hope we don't do any damage. We hope that you enjoy. Welcome to episode 362 of the KissFAQ Podcast. I'm your host, Julian Gill. Today we've got Daniel Wheeze on the board.
Hi there.
The board's been through 3 name changes during the past week, by the way. 69th Blizzard, Ken.
Hello.
And St. Louis Kiss, Lonnie.
What's up?
So we are now click it up with my disclaimer. So, yeah, what news? Well, today I dropped the latest issue or episode of the KissFAQ Song Stories this week, or this episode is Deuce, which of course was one of the very, very first Kiss songs I ever heard. Before I knew anything about the band, I was just a kid off the plane from England, sitting in a school talent show, watching freaks dressed up in tinfoil and their mommy's tights, miming along to Kiss songs. And the one I remember the most is Deuce. So it's actually a request by one of the supporters of our various podcasts. So thank you to him. That's my gift back to you for listening. I'm not taking requests. I will ask people who support the show at times what they would like to see featured. And if you're so afflicted, hopefully you'll have a good pick. All right, what other news? We've got, the latest Universal Germany. Another color of Off the Soundboard, this time in bone white, though it looked
ivory
brown.
White.
Ivory, right? Yeah, no, bone
ivory white. They call it. Yeah,
and it looked brown. Has anyone pulled the trigger on that on this podcast?
I have not.
No, I already have the
That's saying something. Ken and I.
Or the bird. Yeah, I already have the bird poo and the black.
The bird poo.
I don't have the whatever this new one ivory is. I guess next one will be ebony. Oh no, I do have it.
Ebony and ivory. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, ebony ivory. So. I got to stop. At some point, you just got to stop and say, I'm not going to buy every color that they put out. Just like the Ace Frehley stuff.
Right.
Most recent, I only bought one. I think of that. Other
That's
than
amazing.
the CD, of course,
and there's no one run into the room and put a gun up to your head and said you have to buy it. It's amazing. Free will.
Exactly. Yeah.
Is the right to choose and
I
not to choose.
I don't have to buy it.
I must not buy it. I did not order it. I was so pissed off at the Kiss Killers fiasco, where one of the copies we ordered arrived all shagged and seam split, and it was so poorly packaged by them that I just won't purchase. And it's €60 for, that, forget it. That's €15 more than black vinyl. And if I wanted a European or a German logo copy with the nice white sleeve or however it works out, I'd actually just get the regular black vinyl. But I don't want any of them on vinyl. I don't care. It's the music. So I've got my CD, so I'm happy. I did see that the Japanese one the CD did come with its mini farewell tour book with the Eric Singer insert sheet. It's not, and also a poster.
Which one is that?
That's the Japanese edition. And
of Killers?
Of Tokyo Soundboard.
Off the Soundboard.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah, check it out on CD Japan. I don't know what the deal is with that mini tour book, but obviously the farewell tour book was a really thick one with listing all the tour dates, and I think it had a lot of good archival photos. So if you don't have that Japanese tour book, getting a mini one is a kind of cool chunky to have chucked in with it. Cool. So I didn't order that either, but it looks that's just me saying something nice before moving on to the next thing. Ken.
Cool.
Latest delay notification to Kiss 2020 goodbye. You want to summarize it?
Yeah, we saw hats today.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, the hat, they show a picture of a hat and I think a VIP or some kind of pass or something. And they say they're going to, they're sorry, of course, sorry for the delay, and it's, COVID, and it's the band's fault, and this and that.
It's the band's fault.
Yeah, and so they say August, shipping early August. The hat, though, I looked at it, I thought, man, it looks like it's a used hat, so hopefully not giving us used hats.
It was a
know.
demonstration copy used by the crew, so it's got all that Dubai
All,
sweat and
all
heat.
kinds of sweat.
Yeah, yeah, stage used.
So we're waiting
Yeah.
as usual.
Yep. So it's still requiring approvals from the band. The editing, they say, is done. So I guess they finally managed to get rid of the Guinness guy, or the Guinness git.
That was terrible.
Delete.
That is one of the
Oh.
sharks in history that were jumped. Putting
Yes.
that guy on stage, and he just wouldn't get off, and he blew the cues, and there you go. All right. So that is all that there is on that. I did want to thank everyone who joined us last week for the live episode, our review of the A&E biography history. You know, there are a lot of people watching, and a lot of people watched the episode since, so we do appreciate you. Appreciate everyone chiming in with their comments, their thoughts, and whatnot. We will be doing more live episodes, of course, down the road. They're fun to do. They're a little bit less work for me to do. And it's also nice to get that interaction, so thank you, everyone. All right. Let's go into a couple of these other kind of topics. And I don't know how legitimate this one is. The former KISS catalog consultant, I don't think he's worked for the band in 23 years since the remasters. So I'm not sure about how well that was presented. Maybe something was lost in the editing. But then again, I have no idea what the current situation is. Well, whatever the case, he suggested that KISS could theoretically be sold off as a brand, as an entity, to some investment, or I think Disney was raised as they're an entertainment company with the rights to many sorts of different what the hell do you call it? Franchises. Thank you.
Franchise.
Franchise. Yeah.
Got there in the end. So, Daniel, get your thoughts on that. Do you think KISS could theoretically be sold off as a franchise in order to keep the name alive and move it forward into new areas?
I actually think it's quite a good idea. I think it would work for several of these old rock bands like Iron Maiden and KISS and maybe a few others. They have so visually appealing stuff. While Iron Maiden, they have Eddie, and KISS, of course, have the makeup. So I think a company like Disney could do some pretty good things with it. I mean, I remember when Star Wars were sold off to Disney, I was pretty skeptical. But the first movie they made was a whole lot better than the three that came previously. So it can work, and I think KISS, Iron Maiden, maybe a few other rock bands can be franchised and carry on and get new fans and so on.
Interesting. Lonnie, what are your kind of take on that?
I think absolutely. I think Daniel's right on. I do too. I think that it definitely could be franchised out. Imagine what a company like Disney and it doesn't necessarily even have to be Disney, could do with the KISS brand in different movies and cartoons. And we've seen the KISS Scooby-Doo thing, obviously, from a few years ago. Imagine what they could do with something like that. And who's going to manage KISS down the road when Gene and Paul officially even not only done performing or done just, hey, I'm done managing the KISS enterprise as itself. Well, I can have one last big payday and really cash in on this KISS brand and sell it off. If George Lucas can sell Star Wars, why can't Gene and Paul sell KISS?
Exactly. And I think George Lucas was able to sell off the Star Wars enterprise, ILM and whatever, and managed to put a caveat into that contract saying that the original theatrical version of Star Wars was never to be shown anywhere, broadcast, because of all the versions that came after and were edited and changed. So that has still to surface. So who knows what little gotchas KISS could write into a sale contract. Ken, I mean, going back, you've been there through the merchandise in the 70s, through all the branding, through the whole history of the band in essence. Does your emotion tell you something different than your brain on whether KISS can or maybe even should be sold off as a franchise?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be a good idea. I mean, yeah, Gene and Paul are not going to be around forever, and so if they want to continue, I think that is a good way to do it. And I know we talked Disney, and Disney owns Marvel, which, Marvel Comics is what those two first Kiss comic books were on, Marvel. They know what to do if they could turn even those into a movie, those comics. And maybe, they could eventually become part of the Marvel, universe of superheroes and turn them into that. I mean, yeah, it'd be interesting. I think they could do it. It's a lot of, guys that have very good, I don't know what you want to say, ideas about how to do that kind of stuff. So I think it would be okay. Now, the other thing is the music's going to stop anyway, or it has stopped. No new music as far as I know. So I think that's just going to be, they could sell part of it, to Marvel or whatever, Disney. They could have something in the contract where maybe a band or something could go on forward, like a 2.0 or something, as an entity still, as for the music part of it. I don't know. I don't know how that would all work, but I'm starting to wonder if there will be a 2.0 anymore. It might be just tribute bands out there after Kiss is gone.
Sanctioned tribute bands, yeah.
Sanctioned, yeah, right. So from that standpoint, I don't know. I think it'd be cool if Disney could take it and hopefully do something good with it if it ever happens.
Yeah, I think we've talked about the kind of the official sanctioned tribute bands before, and having them being regional and maybe tied to era specific franchises. For that would be probably smart going down the road, to make them that Gene and Paul approve of these bands, because it's gone from appreciating them to now approving them these days. But the superhero thing and selling them as a franchise, I mean, my brain says, yeah, it's business, and when it comes to business, anything is possible, especially when there's a large dollar amount, attached to a possible sale of the intellectual property. That having seen some of Kiss's merchandising presentations through the years and the amount of dollar figures that they generate, as a sales pitch, I'm sure there'd be some venture capitalists willing to lose someone else's money to own a bit of Kiss. Or from the perspective of, say, like a sports franchise, those are great tax dodges, for people to buy a franchise and then be able to write off all of that to down their tax, liability. So from a business perspective, anything is absolutely theoretical. Should it go into...
I'm also thinking resources. The resources that Disney have versus Kiss. I mean, they have a whole lot of muscle to put into the brand. So I think, and a whole lot of guys with talent and good ideas. So I think we can't even imagine what they could do with the brand. I think there are Disney and Marvel are loaded with talented guys that can come up with ideas that even geniuses like us can come up with.
Maybe they can even have Kiss World, the traveling amusement park, eventually.
Right.
Yeah, that's
one of the rides.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
Disney.
just imagine the resources. Yeah.
Well, Disney has had they had a rock band in the early 1980s, and there's actually a documentary about that band, and they had space costumes and all that sorts of things. They did characters, and it was a complete failure. It's a very sad story, actually, the documentary.
Yeah, man.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but I did watch the documentary. I know Ken Sharp did a song that was kind of dedicated to the lead singer of the project, and she had a great set of pipes. She a great rock singer, straight out of the kind of Pat Benatar vein. And then the band, they weren't schmucks, they were musicians. So, I mean, you think of Disney, imagine, it comes back to the Superman kind of theme that, think of how much Gene loves that. Here we are, foul-mouthed, vile, band by day, superheroes by night, teaming up with Ant-Man and the Wasp to fight Loki. Yeah, and I have no idea if those are even in the same house as far as super characters go, because I just don't follow that crap. I watch
No,
it occasionally.
there must be a drop in the popularity when it comes to superheroes pretty soon, because the scene is just overloaded with movies and everything. So I think the popularity will drop pretty soon. It has to. I mean, how many Spider-Man movies can you make?
Boy, it's a good
how
thing
many
Andrew's not on the show
or
today.
remake?
Remake, yeah.
What,
Good
breaking
thing
Andrew's
Andrew's not
heart?
here.
Yeah, break his
Yeah.
heart.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, watching Julian talk about superheroes and comics is comic and sad. Just not my thing. So again, going back to all that kind of thing, it is entirely possible. It would actually be smart to unload it and not have to deal with the states and managements, get it all bundled up, and then you don't have to worry about the partnerships and all that when the time does come. It's all been dealt with, and you've cashed out. You completely separate yourself out from it, and clean the slate.
Yeah.
But I think at this point, it's been proven that you can actually make movies based on bands like the Motley Crue film, and Kiss have been talking about doing something like that. But I feel bringing Disney in and making some sort of animated movie based on Kiss could be really interesting, because Kiss is sort of, very cartoonish. So I think bringing someone in and making maybe an animated movie more towards a younger audience then, and then telling the story that way, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and who's going to carry it on? Who is, someone has to manage it down the road when Gene and Paul are either no longer with us, or, they're 80, 85 years old, and say, I can't continue to manage this beast what the Kiss entity is. Do you really think Nick Simmons wants to devote his life to managing what used to be his dad's band?
No.
I don't think so. I think it will be sold one day.
So better to do it
I agree.
earlier and benefit from it more.
Yeah,
correct.
Especially, with life expectancy being what it is, you've still got decades ahead of you. Enjoy the time, enjoy the money, and forget about the Kiss fans, because after 50 years of putting up with them, surely you get to the point where it's your problem now, Disney. Oh, those whiny little.
Yeah,
Trolls
but
can
we're at a point now where we're happy with anything almost, aren't we? I mean, they can put out live albums that are 20 years old, and people go bananas. I mean, maybe you can you have a big opportunity to make something actually good, and something new, and maybe add a few new fans, bring in a younger audience, and keep the brand even more popular than it is at the moment.
Yeah, will definitely be interesting to see what happens. And just going back to the George Lucas thing, I've been watching Disney. I've got the streaming service, and they've got stuff like Bad Batch, the clones, animations, which actually are pretty decent. I've been watching them at night because I don't have to think. It's just like, watching ridiculousness, just turn off the brain and go pretty lowbrow. And those have been good. I remember watching the Clone Wars ones, like 10 years ago with my son when he was little. So who knows what is feasible in turning them into an animated series, not like a Scooby-Doo thing, but have an actual story arc and character development, and, a little bit more adult crossover.
Teenage.
Yeah, writing level, and some of the stuff in the Nick Simmons comic world could easily be translated story-wise, or with some of those other comics that were done that are much more kind of magna, or whatever the hell. Andrew, help me. Ish in style. All right, I'm showing myself to be an old man already. I want to move into one of your topics, Daniel, because it was a really good question, and it's your very first one. Ken, I'm going to start with you. Talk about your current favorite Kiss thing, be it book, TV show, album, or film. What is it that rocks your Kiss world?
Right now?
Right now, today, what gets you excited when I say Kiss?
Well, touring, to see them in concert one more time would be the excitement right now for me. and to do a meet and greet and that sort of thing. So yeah, that's in September. So that's the number one thing on my mind now, is going to see them, and which could be again. Oakland could have been the last time. I keep saying, oh, this one could be the last time. This one could be but this one really could be the last time for me. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Okay. Lonnie, what about you? What's rocking your world when I say Kiss?
Right now, it's off the soundboard to me, and the possibility of more off the soundboard releases. I mean, these are things that we've talked about on this podcast since its inception, and we finally have our first taste of it. So the possibility of more of those, going back and we did this lineup with Eric and Tommy. Let's hit another lineup next time we do one of these, whether it's the Bruce Kulick and Eric Carr, Bruce Kulick and Eric Singer. Just let's do a different lineup. Let's explore different eras of the band with these off the soundboard releases. That gets me excited at this point, because they're finally doing what we've been wanting them to do for years. So that's what keeps me going right now.
But also, I think, can I add on to that? But I agree. But I hope they also don't listen to feedback. I hope they don't go into Facebook or the message boards and see, well, we don't like it because it didn't have nice art. I hope they just keep pumping them out with no art whatsoever. Who cares? Just to get the music.
Pumping them out.
Don't get hung up on trying to improve it, with us calling it the dog shit pressing or whatever, the bukkake press vinyl.
Yes.
Don't get hung up on any of that criticism. Just keep putting them out. If we keep buying them, now we can complain, but we're going to complain even more if we don't have something to buy. So keep the shiny stuff moving. Daniel, answer your own question. What is it that rocks your world?
I kind of thought it in a different way. I was thinking what am I doing this week in order to, get excited when it comes to Kiss? Of course, looking forward to live performances. That's number one. And getting new stuff, like Lonnie said, is also great. But right now, I don't have anything new. I can go and watch them live. What am I doing in order to get my Kiss fill? And I think it's true for a lot of fans. You cruise the internet and you wind up on something, and that makes you go somewhere else, and then you finally end up with something that gets you real excited. So for me this week, I listened to an old interview. I watched that Bruce Kulick tribute to his brother. Again, I think it's very good. And he's got a lot of hits, views on it. So that's good for Bruce. I think it's well over 100,000 by this point. And I got a bit curious about Bob. So I went and watched an interview that the Italian guy from Three Sides did in, I think it's called Mark. He did a great interview, I think at the Indianapolis Expo or something a few years back. Mm-hmm. And Bob Kulick was really emotional, especially when talking about the Paul Stanley tour in '89. So that made me go and watch some live performances from that era, and I ended up watching everything that was on YouTube. And what a great tour, and the energy, and Eric Singer on the drums, and Bob Kulick nailing the solos. I think it's maybe a bit of an overlooked era of Kiss or Paul Stanley. So this week I've been watching loads and loads of Paul Stanley live videos, and there are some good ones out there, and pretty good quality at least. So that's my Kiss fill this week.
Off the soundboard, Paul Stanley's 1989 tour. There are soundboards from that tour.
That would be great.
That would be a nice kind of tribute from the Kiss side to Bob. So who knows?
As a little note there, Off the Soundboard peaked at number 40 on the Billboard 100.
Did it?
Which is not bad for
That's
for
really
that
good.
type of album. I mean, what it It's according to this. Oh, maybe that's something else. But well, I see it at 40. I think on the rock charts of Billboard, it hit 12
That's really
on
good.
the rock chart. So
Good.
yeah, so it must have sold pretty well, I'm guessing.
Yeah, the top 200 is the one that counts. So if it hit 40 on that, that's legit. And well, as far as today's numbers are, not really comparable with the past, but that is really awesome if that's the case. It's just like for my Billboard link on here, and I'm not able to check it because I deleted it. So what's moving me? Well, Ken mentioned the show, obviously. And I hope to be alive to enjoy that, with whatever variant we're up to by then. Epsilon, Omega, Andromeda strain, what the hell's coming next? So I'm living a little bit more in immediacy, and obviously I'm bogged down with the Aerosmith book, so there's not much time for Kiss. But I am getting my rocks off with these song stories. Going back into some of the that goes way back to the beginning of the album Focus for me, is where all that stuff was born, updating it, improving it, and turning it into spoken word, just mini bites, is just really exciting me. What excited me today was someone posted a picture. I mentioned this to you guys before we kind of started. Someone posted a picture of the Popcorn Pub, the frontage of it, which is I've not seen it, in its late 1972 guise. And I know about that photo because it was printed in, I think, the New York Daily News in October 1972. But they got the crisp photo from an archive, clearly, and it is fantastic. It's just so exciting to see stuff like that. And then yesterday, someone posted some pictures from late 1975 with the story of how they'd come across a big box of abandoned things from a photo processing kiosk or something in the late 70s, gone through all the photos or something to that effect, and one of the packs was from a Kiss concert from that era. So just to see stuff like that still popping up, and maybe you hear about a new recording surfacing, and then going back through all the A&E stuff for all the pictures of where's that from, what's that from. That's the immediacy of what's rocking my world, my Kiss world, my personal Kiss world right now.
You mentioned the Kiss album Focus, which
No,
I
God,
have,
that made me
of course.
laugh. Oh, I'm sorry.
There's like three. There was 3 books. Was it 3 books or 4 books? I can't think. 3 books, right? Was
Like
it 3 parts?
87 printings. There were 3 parts.
Yeah, but where did now the last one ended off at what? Did you actually do Sonic Boom and Monster? I can't remember. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, no. The volume 3 originally went, I think, 1998 to 2007. Then I did a volume 4 with a really shitty little cover on it. And then I took them out of print and I combined 3 and 4 into one volume that went 1997 to 2013. So it goes
Okay.
up, and
Maybe I have that one.
I'm never writing anything after that, because when I went back and tried looking at all that, my writing style just so crap for what it was. It was okay for online, but just binding it up, it was not good enough quality. So that's only available as a hardcover these days, just because the original hardcover run only sold like 6 copies.
So there's that.
I have
So
one.
there's that.
I bought the paperback. So
Well, it means I can say thank you to all 6 of the people who bought the original
bought the
hardcover.
hard copy.
I think I might be one of them.
Probably. I'm like, why the hell did I write through mine in red ink correcting it? I mean, that would have been worth some money, like those people who do some. Let's move on into another one of the topics, and some of this stuff is coming from the board. And Ken, I think this is one that you put down. What songs were truly Kiss hits, and what 5 songs should have been released as a single? Let's break that up into, the Kiss hits. What were the songs that should have been, or truly were Kiss hits, versus what you perceive were possibly payola? Lonnie.
True Kiss hits are, I think we're all going to have the same answers, that it's Beth, I Was Made for Loving You, and Forever, and I'll throw in God Gave Rock and Roll to You. I think are the true Kiss hits. And maybe Crazy Nights. Because Crazy Nights while it was not big in America, it was big in the UK and across the seas. But I really think that's it. I mean, because you talk about when you go see Kiss, we play the hits. Like, well, Well, Deuce wasn't as much as I like Deuce, well, it wasn't a hit. You've put it on every compilation you've ever put out, and it's on a live, so it's a hit. The true Kiss hits, like if you really want to boil it down, are Beth, I Was Made for Loving You Forever. In my opinion.
It depends a bit on where in the world you are, of course. That's pretty the American view, I think, because over here it's a bit different. Because Kiss really got popular maybe in the early 80s, actually. At least in Scandinavia, when they took off the makeup, they were kind of an obscure band previously. But they hit big time in 83, 84. Oh, someone drove by Julian's house.
That's my fucking neighborhood.
So I would like to add a few European or Scandinavian hits. Heavens on Fire for sure, one of their biggest hits and most known songs, and also Lick It Up. Actually, that's one that still gets a lot of airplay over here, and people know of it. But other than that, I can't really add any more songs that are real hits.
Yeah, and Heavens on Fire made it to number 19 in Sweden. And that was pretty much the only market in Europe where it made it into the top 20. It was 43 in the UK, which was the second best that it did, so not that far behind 49 in the USA. Lick It Up made it to 24 in Switzerland, or Swaziland. Switzerland.
Yeah, but the thing is they have, how do you say it, longevity.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been pretty popular for a lot of years. It's not like they were number one, but they were popular for a long time.
Oh, I feel better. Crazy Nights went to number 7 in Norway, so I don't feel so bad. England and Norway. Worst taste in Kiss catalog ever.
I don't think it's that bad.
Well, Norway also had number 4, Shandy hitting number 4, so...
I think Unholy was pretty high in Norway, I think, wasn't it?
Well, let's make Lonnie happy. Scroll down.
Yeah, scroll down.
Number 2.
Yeah.
Rise your heart.
Wow.
Rise your heart.
Shocking. All right, so whose turn was it? Completely.
I guess it's my turn.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I had saw this topic about charting or something. And then I just thought about it, and then someone was asking what were Kiss's really hit songs, and then we got into a discussion about greatest hits, packages and stuff like that, which is not accurate. And then I said, it's probably just go to Billboard, at least from the U.S. Charts. There's just 24 songs that hit the Hot 100. To me, I think the top 40. If you hit the top 40, it's a semi-hit. You made it pretty far up the chart. So I'm just looking at it right now. Beth was number 7, Forever 8, I Was Made for Loving You 11, Shout It Out Loud was 31. So that's in the top 40. Rock and Roll All Night Live was 12.
What about New York Groove?
I haven't hit there yet, but
Okay.
it was the top 20, I know, New York Groove. Calling Dr. Love at 16. That's a hit, man.
Not without payola, it isn't.
Hard Luck Woman. Yeah, Hard Luck Woman is 15. Tears Are Falling was 51. So that's not a hit. Sorry, folks. Christine 16, 25.
Actually, she's 16.
Reason to Live was 64. That should have been higher. To me, it should have been a hit. But
yeah, but look at what it was competing with at the time. No way.
Yeah. With Heart. Anyway, Sure Know Something. 47. Look It Up. Look It Up was 66.
That's bad.
That's not that great, considering it's one of their, they play at every show. Shandy 47. Heavens on Fire was 49. So those, Hard Your Heart 66 also. Even Rocket Ride, it made top 40, 39. Barely made it, but so that was semi-hit. World Without Heroes 56, it looks like. So if you go down Crazy Nights, I'm just trying to see everything else is above 50, is like above 60. And then Flaming Youth 74. Oh, here we go. This is the one that I know you guys think should have been a hit. Let's Put the X in Sex 97. It cracked the top 100. Anyway.
But I think nowadays you have to look at it a bit differently. You have to look. There are several other ways of listening to music. So if it wasn't a hit right away, it can actually become sort of a hit after some time.
Like,
let's say New York Groove is a song that has had some staying power. And also if you look at Spotify, for example, you can see that some of the songs that really didn't hit big in the beginning, later on sort of have become hits.
Over time.
Sort of. Yeah, over time, yeah.
Yeah, so in the U.S., obviously, Beth and I Was Made for Loving You are the band's only gold singles. So those are legit hits in the U.S. I'm going to go back and check my list because mine tells me that Canada is the only country in which Kiss had 2 number ones. Shout It Out Loud and I Was Made for Loving You. I gotta check Shout It Out Loud and make sure that's not another freaking typo rearing its head from 20 years ago. Not to take anything away from the song, of course, even though I am known for not liking it very much.
It could have. 31.
And then New Zealand, Holland, and, well, Canada were the only places where I Was Made for Loving You was number 1. Everywhere else, number 2, number 6. I Was Made. No one's doubting that as a hit. Rock and Roll All Night, definitely a hit, even though it only went to number 12, the live version, just because that is the definitive and how big the live album was. And then for the rest of it, I think Daniel touched on a really good point about the longevity of some of the songs that you do still hear. I think we also have to then look later on when modern rock tracks and all of those, when Kiss and most hard rock acts were banished from Billboard Hot 100, it really became the place where they were important. Jungle was number 1 hit. Or was it Master and Slave? This freaking thing won't scroll.
Jungle.
No,
Jungle,
Psycho Circus was number 1 on the
Jungle
modern
did
rock
pretty
tracks.
well, I remember.
Yeah, and Jungle hit number 8. So
okay.
then you do have to include stuff like that because everything had shifted in the music business. So rock bands had been banished from popular music because R&B, rap, country had all transcended easy listening, light rock, and it was much more kind of exclusive or exclusionary in that rock was not included. So there's plenty of stuff to choose from. I mean, Dirty Living charted at 25 in one country, so Germany, of course. So.
I just have to tell you a quick story. I was teaching 13-year-old kids music this year, and I talked about the Black Album, Metallica's album, and about the great drum sound and everything, and about the sonics and so on. And they just looked at me and they didn't get it at all. And finally, what do you have to say, kids, about this? What are your reflections and so on? And one guy raised his hand. Metallica gives me cancer in the ears. And that was it. That was the response. And I talked about the album for half an hour. So I think you need to. It's hard to. You have to listen to hard rock and heavy metal for a while in order to like it. You can't just listen for 20 seconds and then start liking it like you can do with modern music, maybe. So we're missing out on the kids there.
That's good. So here's another one of Daniel's questions. Lonnie, I'll start with you on this. After becoming a Kiss fan or a fan of Kiss, has your taste in music changed over the years as a result or in consequence to?
It's difficult to say because I can't remember not being a fan of Kiss. As much as I talk about Revenge, and I love Revenge, that came out when I was 13 years old, I was still a Kiss fan before that came out. I can't remember not being a Kiss fan because my brother, played cassettes of them for as long as I can remember. So I grew up, literally grew up loving the band. And in a way, I guess that's influenced me because of that to just gravitate toward a heavier style of music than anything else. It influenced what other bands I liked because I can't remember not liking Kiss. So it made me say, well, what other bands are out there like Kiss? And that just formed my taste in music. And as much as I do like and listen to rock and metal and things like that, I do listen to other things too. I'm not, so one dimensional, but it is my favorite style, and I think it's because of that early influence from my brother.
Nice. That's a very honest answer. That's almost like one of those cute cat videos that you see on Facebook. So, Ken, and you're muted. We lost your profundity.
Crap.
That's not the first time.
Yes, that's the first time I muted myself. Probably a good thing sometimes. Yeah, it's kind of tough to think about this. After becoming, I have to think back now. I don't think it changed so much. My taste, even though before Kiss I was listening to, I had Steve Miller Band, Linda Ronstadt. I even had Rush album before a Kiss album, I think. But I had the Carpenters, and Neil Sedaka and the other stuff going back. But yeah, I don't think it really changed. It just, I guess there's no one like Kiss, so I wasn't gonna be looking for another Kiss in general. It's just, I just evolved as liking music, and maybe at some point I was liking a lot more heavier stuff. If you come from that standpoint, yeah, I was more open to the heavier stuff around that time. I started listening to the harder stuff as years went on, but I still like the other stuff I was listening to. I was still John Mellencamp, right, Billy Joel, stuff like that. I mean, I still listen to it, so it really didn't change my taste because I have me, I have a wide variety of tastes in music, from easy stuff to pretty heavy, and some classical even throw it in, or bluegrass even, to a little degree. But yeah, I don't think it really changed that much. Really didn't after becoming a fan.
Yeah, I think the same applies to me. Obviously, before I was a fan, I was playing French horn and orchestra, and in school, and listening to the Beatles, Duran Duran, Men at Work, who I all still listen to, and I'd listen to Beethoven this week. So my musical tastes haven't changed as a result of loving Kiss. I still love all the bands that I grew up in, that are part of my life soundtrack. So Kiss has had very little effect on me. I don't listen to anything less. I listen to what my mood asks me to, and it mostly comes out of my wheelhouse of what's in my life's jukebox, So there is some new stuff in there that I discover along the way. Some of the stuff that I've started to listen to over the past few years that I didn't listen to in the past have nothing to do with Kiss, and it's not because of Kiss. Starting to listen to more Merciful Fate, and wow. King Diamond and stuff like that is just kind of exploring areas of music that I missed growing up. So, no, it hasn't changed my taste. My tastes haven't changed over the years. I still like everything I liked when I was 14 and became a Kiss fan. I liked the same stuff that I liked when I was 9, and was just consuming music in a completely different way. Daniel, your question.
Well,
I didn't know. Yeah.
Before Danny goes in there, I just thought of something else, and Julian, you touched on about the discovering new music that passed you by. For instance, I had bought a collection of Kansas albums. I only knew a few of the hits and stuff. Actually, I bought a set of 5 albums, and I was pleasantly surprised with the music on those albums. Like, wow, how did I miss all this? So yeah, it's good to go back, and there's some music that you never had a chance, or you just didn't get around to listening to, and sometimes you got to give it a chance. Or even back then, your taste may have been not what that was at the time, but now it's like, oh, you know what? I didn't think the music was that good, but it's, better than I thought it was, kind of thing. I think that's what happens with even Kiss fans. They thought they sucked back then, but they listen to some of the music now. They give it a chance, and they can say, oh, you know what? They did pretty good. They did have some pretty good music.
Yeah, and I did that with Bruce Springsteen, Johnny Cash, and Elvis. Got a bunch of Elvis, music movies, Comeback Special, Aloha, and all that, because I had missed all that, and I wanted to, explore it. And the Springsteen, going album by album on a daily basis to give him a spin. And, of course, John Mellencamp I loved, but Johnny Cash, the original Godfather in some ways. So, Daniel.
I didn't know you played the French horn. You need to play something for us next time. Play something from the Elder. I think there are some French horns.
From the Elder, yeah, French horn.
Okay, I will go find a French horn and do fanfare. Or
yeah.
What a reveal on the show.
I want you to learn that. That's your homework.
That would go viral immediately. Yeah. Well, my experience is mostly similar to Lonnie's, I think. When I first heard Kiss, it was such a big thing. I remember the first time I heard a Kiss song, and it instantly made me a fan and made me interested in music. And this was in the mid-'80s. You have to think about that, because there were a whole lot of earlier Kiss records. So I didn't go and look elsewhere for music. I tried to find those albums. And that wasn't as easy as it is nowadays. I mean, you have to go to the flea market and look in the old album sections, and maybe you found one. So I did that for a few years, I guess. And that really cemented my interest in Kiss. But of course, I strayed away a little bit through the years, mostly when my Kiss ended with Bruce and Eric Singer. I started to listen to Judas Priest. I leaned towards the heavier stuff like Lonnie, Alice in Chains, Stone Temple Pilots, and but eventually I found my way back. I finally found my way back. No, and so Kiss. If it hadn't been for that Kiss song I heard, I'm not sure I would even be a music fan. It's pretty strange to think in those terms, but I'm not sure. So that really changed, actually, my life. That time we were in a tent listening to an old cassette, and to this day they are by far my favorite band. And also, I think it was something with the visuals as well. I mean, watching Heavens on Fire and Tears Are Falling, the videos, I thought they looked pretty cool. And then finding out about the makeup and stuff, and they looked even cooler. So it was kind of combined the visuals with the music. And then when I looked at other bands, I didn't feel they had the same history and the same visual appeal like Kiss. So I think that was a big thing as well.
We just had a fanfare moment. The foghorn in the background. God, wish I had a kazoo. Yeah, Daniel, we're rocking your questions today because these are all your ideas, pretty much. Here's one for Lonnie. Do you think the music changes how you dress and act?
It definitely changes the way I dress. I mean, I'm almost 42 years old, and I still walk around in a Kiss shirt. And you guys are the same exact freaking way. I still walk around in a Kiss shirt or a Rock Band shirt. I dress the same way as I did when I was 17 years old. The exact same way. Baseball cap, black t-shirt, and shorts, or blue jeans, depending on the weather, almost every day of the year. It 100% influences the way I dress. I mean, sometimes I look at myself like, you're almost 42 years old. Like, Like, I don't care. This is how I dress. And like my buddy that lives down the street makes fun of me, It's like, dude, I think you wore that same T-shirt like 20 years ago. I'm like, yeah, I probably did actually. So, so and does it influence the way I act? Absolutely, it influences the way I act. Kiss songs are, and I talked about this in a post I made on the FAQ last week. That Kiss songs are uplifting and they're about going for what you want and achieving your dreams and not being held back and all that good stuff. And that struck a chord with me when I was 17 after I saw I've always listened to Kiss, but after I saw them when I was 16 years old, it really struck a chord with me about going for what you want and doing what you want. And something's going on.
Earthquake.
And that's always resonated with me. And I listen to Kiss to get fired up sometimes if I'm going to exercise, or like before I'm exercising, just to get my blood flowing, and to build some confidence in myself. You might listen to I or something just to get you fired up. So it definitely influences the way I think and the way I act as well.
That was probably a 2.3 quick, which just shows how much I shit myself every time California bites.
Did you feel it, Ken?
It hasn't gotten here yet.
Oh.
I felt one about a week ago. That was in down south a bit, but yeah.
It was either that or my neighbors just woke up. It's one of the two. You can never tell in these apartment buildings. But obviously, I'm hypersensitive. Your post on the FAQ, I mean, that was stunning. And, I'm glad that I didn't have to delete any comments from people in there, because people really, I think they got the right message out of it as well. Does music change how I act and dress? Well, I didn't used to wear black rock t-shirts back in my teenage years. I wore freaking Gap jeans and button-down shirts tucked out, or Lacoste shit. I did have some rock tees, but they're basically like the baseball style ones. But does it change how I dress? No, because I got to an age where I decided I was never going to work in a suit and tie type environment where I could basically dress in t-shirts and jeans, except when absolutely necessary to show up at a meeting with a tie and a suit, whatever. Sometimes there's no way around it. So it didn't change how I dress or act, because I'm English and we swear a lot naturally anyway, so it's not like any change whatsoever. Ken?
Yeah, so the question is, do you think that music changes how you dress? Not necessarily Kiss, right? It's just any music. Yeah, I mean, when I started getting into a lot of music, when I was just going crazy buying new music back in the late 70s, I was buying vinyl albums left and right and stuff like that, and getting into all different kinds of music, and then I was going to a lot of concerts, starting especially the 80s. You saw some of my tickets I've posted out there. There's still I have a stack like this still to go through of tickets of concerts I saw back then. So it influenced. I mean, I bought rock T-shirts and stuff from my favorite bands, either if I saw them at concerts or whatever, and had the the leather jacket and that sort of stuff, back in the day. Hair was longer, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think I did a little bit based on the type of music, or rock and roll, I guess, in general. But not how I act, not so. I mean, I never really acted crazy. Maybe at a concert sometimes, you get a little rowdy, but I've always been pretty reserved. So, as you probably can tell, obviously. But yeah, I don't think it changed the way I act so much. I've always been pretty much the same guy most of my life.
Daniel, it was your question, so what's your answer?
Well, for sure, when I was a teenager, as Lonnie said, I wore the band T-shirts and rocked the leather and so on. I thought it looked pretty cool. I started playing, like guitar and stuff like that. But something changed for me I think in my early 20s. I've been working as a teacher for, well, it's a long time by now, but when I was like 23, 24, I felt I had to distance myself from the students, so to speak. So I I had a suit and tie for at least 10 years and tried to look, like an adult, professional. But then something happened a few years into my 30s, and I said, what am I doing? I'm really a rocker at heart. I'm not a suit and tie guy. So I started growing out my hair, and I started rocking the T-shirts once again, and I went full circle, so to speak. So nowadays, for sure, I don't care. I have long hair, even though I'm as old as Lonnie, and I rock the T-shirt.
As old as Lonnie.
I think we're the kids, aren't we?
I think you're now the kids on the show. Yeah.
We're the kids, yeah. So we're not that old. So we're the youngsters. But anyway, I've gone full circle, and has it affected the way I act? I don't know. Well, I wouldn't be on this show, for example, if it didn't affect me. I mean, I've always tried to find like-minded people, and it's been pretty tough at times, especially during the early 90s, to find like-minded people if you're really into Kiss. So this podcast thing has just been bliss for me. It's been real nice, and I love every minute of it. So.
And well, here's another question for you specifically, because you kind of use this podcast to keep your chops up using English, don't you? Did music make you learn another language or languages? I mean, do you speak any others as well?
Mais oui, je m'appelle Daniel, j'habite à Storuman, je suis 18. Not that much. A bit of French, a bit of German, and so on, but not a lot. Yeah, of course did. I've told the stories way back a few years when I first got Animalize, and you get curious. You want to know what they sing about. So I went over to my mom with a cassette. See, Ken knows what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
The third song on the album. I showed her.
I knew it.
Mom, what does this mean? Burn, bitch, burn. And I remember her face. And she looked at me and she said, of course in Swedish, burn, witch, burn. Okay. But I found out later on.
Well, Edith Piaf never made me learn French. Well, I can speak a bit of French and a bit of Japanese, but that's it. But for you, it's like one of those things. Music, the vast majority of popular music is in English. So, yeah. I mean, I don't think I like the arts, but I'm not going to learn German or Rammstein.
Popular culture overall, we get from America primarily. So every TV show you watched, I watched. Every movie I've seen as well. And every band you've heard from America as well, I've heard. So it's we're very Americanized when it comes to popular music. Not so much in politics.
All right. So that's that. Let Daniel have the last word, since these are mostly his topics today. That's a bunch of stuff from the board and from Daniel's head, I think. So we will be thinking about what next show will be. I think it's time to do that Look It's Rock and Roll podcast episode. Gives me a reason to listen to something else. But now, for Daniel, for Ken, for Lonnie and myself, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. Thank you for spending time listening to the KissFAQ podcast today. All sales are final. There are no refunds. If you'd like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the KissFAQ message board and discuss the topic we've broadcast today. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes, Spreaker, or wherever you've listened to the show. We hope you'll join us again.